if you guys choose to start to step into your agreements, maybe you want to read the full book so you get Don Miguel Ruiz's like definitions over us.
Definitions.
But at least you have something to walk into the world with right now of a little bit better of a way to increase your happiness. It doesn't mean one thing's better than the other, but it's a better way for you to find more joy.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. We're two moms and we popped babies out in our 40s. And
It's hard.
it was hard.
It's also the best thing that's ever happened to either one of us.
Yeah, but now we're moms in our 40s.
In our 40s.
With preschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Let's bring the community together of women.
All the moms, 40, 20.
And also, like, let's just talk about, like, real shit. Real life, real women shit.
Yeah, real women shit. Let's do that.
Shit's hard. And also, it's funny. Life is funny.
Let me just pull my bush out of my bush.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm filtered.
Because if you want a show, we're a shit show. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Welcome to Maturish Mamas.
With our matching sippy cups today.
We got our sippies today, and we are ready to just get on with
To sip it on up.
sipping on our coffees. Yeah, we're drinking coffee today. How about that? How about them apples? My daughter just saw Good Will Hunting for the first time. She's 21, and she was just like, Mom, have you ever seen Good Will Hunting? I was like, what just came out of your mouth? How did I raise you right or not? Yes, I've seen Good Will Hunting 49,000 times. And she was like, it was so good. No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Then she's like, are there any other movies out there like this that I might like? And I'm not kidding. Like 45 minutes later, we're making a list of all of these.
What's on the list?
So we were trying to think of that genre. So like Beautiful Mind, things that are kind of like challenge your mindset a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There was more than just that.
45 minutes of that.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
So I
love that she's like getting interested in
and then
something different.
it
like
was
that,
making me wanted to go
to open a dictionary. To learn the English language.
It absolutely was. It was making me want to go back and watch all of them again.
Yeah.
Like I want to revisit all of these great movies that you kind of forget about because now we live in the 2020s. Mm-hmm. We don't live in the 1900s anymore.
I know. We live in the 21st century.
That's confusing to me. I always want to be like, back in the 19th century when no, that's not right. It was the 1900s, not the 19th century.
But the 20th century.
Kind of like this.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Now we're in the 21st century. How about this one? Is this coming weekend, this weekend or next weekend? When I say, hey, let's do something next weekend, which weekend is that?
So if today's Wednesday, when you say next weekend, not this Friday, but the Friday following.
Thank you.
Starting. That's what mine
next.
is.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct in my land. Do you guys agree? Because when people are like, well, okay, so then I'll see you on Saturday. I'm like, that's this weekend, you dipshit.
Yeah, that's this weekend.
I'm busy this weekend, not next weekend. And I know it's the next weekend, but this one's this and the next is next.
Yeah. No, that doesn't make sense to me.
People are dumb. If you're one of those people, sorry.
You got it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Just so you know.
Do life better.
Do better.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's technical at all. But again, you're with Megan and Callie. Oh, hey guys, I'm Cal.
I'm Megan.
And we run this
But don't call me Megan.
Don't call her that. That's weird.
Yeah, that was weird to say it. I'm like, I'm Megan.
My name is Megan Lentfer.
My name is Megan Becky Lentfer.
Just call her Megs.
Megs.
Megs the legs. Look at I even kept notes. Megs the legs.
Look at you. Good for you.
This is what we're thinking. Here's what we're going to do with you guys today because I was just asking Megan what one of her favorite books were. We're talking about all the novels that we read. Mm-hmm. And this is one of my favorites. And it's also one of the hardest books to get through, I feel like, for people. Because it's like, Megs, have you read this? And what was your response?
I said, yes, I've started it 50 times and I've never finished it.
Because,
I just haven't. I can't get through it for some reason. But I've done, you know what though, in my defense,
listen here, everybody.
I do that often. Like I really have to be like into it to get through it because Oh, my favorite little miss. She is a reader. Like, and she always like has all these book recommendations. She like, last time I was over there, I was like, I need a book. She sent me home with 4 books and it's awesome. So she bought me this book called The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And she's like hot right now. Kristen Hanna's like a hot author.
Hot mama.
Hot lady. She's and she writes amazingly beautiful and same thing. The book, first of all, is this thick.
Okay, already.
It's like the thickest book ever. And
That's
I'm like,
going to hold up your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's all
right.
I know.
That's right. My Leaning Tower of Christmas.
Yep.
So I kept same thing. Kept getting into like starting it, and then I would like put it down, and then I'd forget where I was at. So then I'd go back, and then I'm like, I already read this part. So, but then when I finally got into it,
so good.
such a good
Just
book.
start on page 40 next time.
Maybe that's what it is. But then I don't have the backstory of all. You're
makes
not
it more
getting
fun.
into the characters. Where this, you don't need that, I guess. But then I'd probably miss the first agreement.
Yeah. So,
Which I think
spoiler
I've read.
alert,
I've
that's
read the
book.
first
Yeah.
one, so I could start.
You do know. Yeah. So now you could start but I think the book's only like 80 pages because it's a tiny, so then you'd be halfway done.
Yeah.
But you know what? A lot of people do that. And I think that it's great that you can like acknowledge that you're not enjoying something and just move to something else. Because I think when books are meant for you, sometimes you're not in a space to receive that book anyways. So I did the same thing. We're talking about, by the way, the first agreement, the second agreement, the third, and the fourth. And the book is called The 4 Agreements.
Surprise!
Surprise. And it took me, so many times. That baby was just sitting on my shelf, teeny tiny little book. But I would read for me, it was like the opening where it's talking about the Toltec like community. And I was just like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, I'm this a little too wacky for me. I'm going to move somewhere else, even though I knew that the concept of the book was supposed to be wonderful. I just couldn't get through that part.
That's maybe where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. I don't know if I got into the other pieces. So we thought for you guys today, maybe you don't want to read the book. Cool. Just listen. And we'll kind of dive into some of these 4 lessons that have been incredibly supportive in my world. And I know all of our worlds, if we've ever taken them on, even if we don't know what they are, but in my personal development world that I've been in, people would like speak in these, be like, are you living your life according to the second agreement? And people would be like, oh shit, you're right. I'm not. Like they would just know that. So when I heard people talking like that, I started to be like, I felt like I was left out. I had FOMO. I was like,
FOMO.
what do you guys talk about? I don't know that. I don't know how
You're like, I want to agree.
I want to agree on
2 things.
I want to have green mints.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Let me get
the
in
15th agreement. I'm in the 15th agreement.
Let me get in on your conversation. You want me to leave? I see. So I finally sat down and got through the 80-page book, whatever it is. And we're just going to talk about them. And you're going to know all of these things anyways, even though you haven't read the book. And y'all are going to just chime in on what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
So if you do want to read it, skip the beginning. Just start with the first agreement. That's what I tell a lot of people.
Good to know. That's great advice.
Yeah. And then you can go
there.
back and understand where it's coming from later on. And I still don't really even care about that piece too much. Just want to know my agreements.
Yeah. Maybe that's the blockage.
It is. Yeah. Oh man. Just some stretches before we move on. Just gotta stretch. It feels like a good time for stretching. Watch. Okay. She's just, you just got it. We're taking down furniture here in the podcast room while we do our stretches. Stretch out, everybody. Get ready for this one.
Oh, yeah.
First agreement is be impeccable with your word.
Oh, I do remember that
You
one.
do see? I knew you're going to be hyping on in here. And this is such a great conversation. And I think it's such a great way to mother with these agreements and having your kids understand them. And it supports them in showing up to life differently. So when you talk about the impeccability of your word, we're talking about you acknowledging the power of those those sounds, it talks about like how like just it sounds, it's just languages, it's words that come out of your mouth, but those little sounds and syllables and letters put together this beautiful language that Megs and I are so eloquent with. We are so eloquent with, as you guys have noticed over the last 7 minutes. Oh dear. But how when we're speaking that, it's powerful to our own beings, our own selves, our own minds, and our actions, as well as it's placing so much power on the people around us. So I'm just going to give examples, and you can tell me what you think about it. And I want to talk about like the kids. Well, we're important too. The kids are important. We're important. Blah blah blah.
I know,
but okay. So with our children, when we're using certain languaging and we're really mad at them, so we're like, you're being so stupid right now, or you're like, you use a word like that to a child. And they receive that, and all they hear is this word stupid. And they call it like casting magic. Some people don't like this part of the book either, but where it's like you're casting black magic on someone. And when they receive that and they decide to own it, because you have to decide to accept the words that are cast upon you as well, then now they're embracing this idea that stupidity is their way of being. And that can alter the way they walk through life. Like one of my great friends, Christy, she would talk about how her family called her, it was like dumb and fat were like what her brothers, and like guys are being guys, brothers are being brothers.
Yeah. Siblings just do that.
Just being dicks. And talk about languaging, right? There you go. There it is. And with that, she still to this day has a hard time, like sometimes like managing her being, like she needed to go through and get her master's because she had to prove everybody wrong. And then just having almost like a body dysmorphia because of the words they used when she was a little girl. So to me, that just like acknowledging how we're showing up to our children and the words that we're saying. And you can say like, you know what, you're not making very good decisions right now. But when you're just like, that's stupid, you're being stupid, that lands so much differently.
Absolutely. It lands in my heart differently. So I can't even imagine someone who is just barely navigating and always looking to you for information, taking that inside. And now that's part of the information that you've been given about yourself.
Yeah.
And about the world around you. So yeah. Wow.
I think it was either Albert Einstein, Thomas Jefferson. It was some like dude from the past that was pretty smart. But they like in preschool or like their 4 or 5 year old range, they were kicked out of school for being an idiot. And the mom, when they came home, that
was Einstein.
Was it Einstein? So this one knows the story, not I, right? But where she decided to tell him that you're too smart for that school, honey. And which was actually the truth, even though the teachers were the ones casting that black magic on him. And imagine had that mother not had that approach for her child, what would our world be like?
Yeah, no kidding. Think of all the contribution that one human has given to us as a society. And if his mom would have just said, well, the teacher said you're dumb, so he must be dumb.
Yeah, so we're going to do yard work.
We're going to live like that.
Yeah.
We're going to live your life like you're too stupid. Like,
yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, and Harry is an ultimate genius, you know?
And then you think about how you speak to your own children. Like, what words are you using that maybe are unfair for their future selves? And sometimes it's like a characteristic that maybe you just don't love. I know one that really hurt my heart just in my raising is being called a disaster, because I am pretty tornado-y and a little chaotic, and you might walk into my house and if I'm doing a project it's a shit show, like there's stuff everywhere. That's just the way my mind works. I don't know if it's ADHD or what it is, but like when I would be called like unorganized or messy or disaster. And I remember one time where my mom, she was walking out of my old house and she's like, you're a beautiful disaster. For her, she was coming from a space of love. But that like moment, I remember exactly how it was said, where it was at. And my heart was just like, I'm never good enough. I always suck at everything I do. And that was as a grown woman, you know?
Yeah.
And just to like let everybody know, as we do start to grow, we're more able to, than our children, decide what information we receive. And that's a growing curve I had to go through, where I could recognize, that's how they language, that's what they're saying, but I don't choose to own that. I choose to instead see the benefits of the way that my mind works. And now I get to walk through life differently, because I'm not going to let you cast your black magic on me, even if they weren't trying to do that,
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, just the way that that's said in its own self, like the word impeccable is just to the highest standard. And I love that word. Like, I just really, when you said that, I was like, wow, that is such a strong word in itself. So to hold yourself to that agreement of being impeccable with your word, in what we're kind of funneling this to is in your motherhood, in the way you're parenting, to be impeccable in your word to your children is just like awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It is.
Because there's so many, especially as an adult and as a mature-ish parent, you have gone through so many circumstances in your life where you can now, I feel like we've kind of come to a point where we do look at things a little bit differently, have the time, have the wisdom to step back and show up differently in a way that we maybe would have wanted to when we were younger, but now it's like kind of innately in us. So to come to your children and choose, you're choosing the way to speak or handle a situation and not reacting. It's a choice. It's a step back. Even if you do need to step back in the moment and say, I got to figure this out before I approach. And then you can come impeccably to handle whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
Be it anger or even confusion, or maybe there's like a really hard topic that needs to be talked about, because those things will be coming up or have already.
Yeah.
For you to take the moment to stand back, think it through, and show up impeccably for your children. Like, that is awesome.
And it's a skill set too. Like, as you're saying that right away, my innards were like, yeah. So a lot of parents, maybe if you have not practiced this before, it is a pause. It's a pause before you speak. And sometimes we feel like we have to fill the void. Like, nobody's saying anything. Hurry, somebody talk.
Yeah.
Somebody say something. Fill the energy. Like, start saying something. So instead of just like pausing and having a few seconds to think, like, what word is going to work in this situation? And we're not always going to get it right, but at least you are doing your best, which we'll get to have that impeccability.
Yeah.
So pausing as a parent. And of course, like, to recognize before we move to the next one, it works the same way in your own mind. So you cast your own black magic on yourself. If you're just like, you know what, I'm never good enough, and I am a disaster, and I am disorganized, and I guess I'll just, oh well, like, that's what I'm going to seek out in my life. Then you're going to get more of what you receive. So remembering that the words, like, do you use any on yourself?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like I don't know if this is normal, but I think it is, that I feel like I almost have a constant narrative going in my mind at all times. Like, I'm constantly speaking to myself, like, sometimes I really need to focus on stop telling myself a story all the time. Like, I don't need my brain to be working like that all the time. I don't need my brain to look outside and be like, there's a bird. Like, I know it's a bird. I don't need my, like, it's this constant thing.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have a constant voice going on in my mind. And most of the time, it used to be a lot worse, where I would speak to myself not kindly at all.
Yeah.
And now I speak to myself more kind.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a choice for me to make, to speak to myself that way. And I also just heard, like, the coolest thing that just really resonated with me on another podcast was this therapist talking about you speaking to yourself. I mean, literally is just imagination. You're just making things up. And most of the time, unfortunately, for whatever reason, the way our brains are wired, maybe it was your upbringing, maybe it's just humanism. Like, we usually tell ourselves a negative story. And really, what you can do is flip that script and start telling yourself a positive story, because the likelihood of either of them is the same. It's not this or this. It's just a story that you're telling yourself. So, I mean, if you had someone sitting next to you and that you loved very dearly, would you be telling them a negative story about themselves? No, you would, I hope not.
Yeah.
You would be trying to tell them a positive story. So
Yeah.
you need to like internalize and treat yourself that same
Yeah.
way. So yeah.
Flip it that way.
Flip
and
it.
we do, it's impossible to shut off that narrative. And okay, not impossible, I suppose, like some very highly trained monks and like people of certain religions have
Yeah.
learned more how to quiet that. But even in one of my last yoga sessions that we were not together, she was talking about how like the point of meditation isn't like, you're not supposed to be like, okay, I've got to clear my mind. I've got to clear my mind. I've got to clear. It's to acknowledge the thoughts that are coming and allow them to leave, you know? So our brains don't know how to stop firing. So having the opportunity to change the story, flip the script is such a beautiful thing for us to all recognize. And when you do just shine the light on the fact that whatever that story you're telling and the word that you're using internally and externally is the driving force of your life, it's kind of like, you know what? I am in control. I can change the way I'm showing up. I can change the way I'm reacting, and I can change my story. I can have a new chapter if I want to.
Right. And think about how easily it is to, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're internalizing, when you are reacting instead of pausing, that's exactly what comes right out of your mouth. And even if it wasn't purposeful, or even, I mean, I've done it and I feel horrible and I'm guilt ridden and now I'm beating myself up about that. But when I'm speaking kindly internally and talking about all the good things and having gratitude and like all the things we've all talked about for the last 50,000 hours of this.
Yep.
That's what immediately comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And then I feel, you know, it's just like this momentum of life and then that's what keeps going. And then now I hear Caston talking nicely to his toys when he's fake playing, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's going to be a practice. So practice the impeccability of your word is number one as our first agreement. And you're not going to get it right away, but you just keep practicing. And then we're going to practice number two. Number two. Don't take things personally. And I love, like, in all of these, as we go through them, we have hit on them in many episodes because it's just a way of doing life in a better fashion. But let's just think about how you were talking about the story that we write, you know, and I feel like agreement number 2 and 3 very much are aligned with what you were just saying about writing a story. But taking things personally is where, like, it's almost like a very selfish practice, but it's the innate way that we show up to things where we make an assumption that whatever somebody is doing is because of us. We're really like, we're not the main character in their story. We're just all these little characters that are around. And we're like, oh, it's probably because I did this, this, and this. Like, I don't even know how to make, it's hard for me to separate number 1 or number 2, number 3. So I'm going to mesh them together.
Okay.
Because unless you can do a better job of that, like,
I can kind of see in one way, so that so it's out there, that the third agreement is don't make assumptions. So taking things personally, I feel like is just to separate these two in this one way, but that it does kind of interweave itself to be together. But taking things personally is like, what comes to my mind first is like, say you're driving and you get cut off and they flip you off. And now you're like, well, I didn't do anything. And it's internalizing you. And now it's about you. And you're like taking this, and maybe they're just having the worst day they've ever had in their life. And now they're rushing to get somewhere. Maybe it's to the hospital and we don't know. And now it's like, oh, now it's this personal thing when it had nothing to do with you at any point at all. And then making assumptions is, I feel like what comes to my mind is sometimes in my marriage, I will assume that Johnny is upset with me because of something. And so then now I'm in my head writing a story about what is upset, why he's upset with me, or what I did, or he has no reason to be upset with me. So why did, and this whole thing. And then not ever acknowledging or asking or reaching out to him, just assuming. And then now that turns into, now we're like bickering back, and neither of us really even know. We're just assuming that there's a problem. You know what I mean? It's like,
so I feel like they tie together so much because the assumption makes you take things personally so often. So, and in the taking things personally, it's like, I think the great description of that is that whatever people are doing or saying to you is a mirror. They're always mirroring themselves. So when you see someone in front of you who's spitting black magic, they're not being impeccable with their word, they're saying things in order to hurt you or whatever it is, it's actually a reflection of whatever's going on in their being. So I like to sometimes when people are not being great, I like to kind of just imagine a mirror in between us, and they're just talking to themselves because they're trying to work out and figure out, and they're getting worked up over whatever is in their being from their whole life of pain that they've endured and all the lessons that they've gone through. And you get to, on the other side of that black magic, the words that they're using, you get to decide, am I going to take that personally, or am I going to acknowledge that that's on them?
Are you going to remove the mirror?
Yeah. And be
take it?
And let them just fire at you. And
I just put that mirror right back.
Yeah, just pull it down and then let them do their things. Because when you do that, you can put up this powerful boundary and wall and be I don't choose to believe that those things are true. But what most of us do is we're yank that mirror out. And then also I'm going to multiply what you said and be you're right. Because that one time I heard when I was 4 years old that I was stupid. And now you just flipped me off because you say I'm a stupid driver. And I'm just oh my gosh, my whole life's over because I'm so stupid. And then you're going to make all these assumptions about it. So you're taking things personally and you're making assumptions about the situation.
Right.
So that's why they weave together so strongly.
Totally.
Because I have a hard time when I'm looking at any times I've taken something personally, just the beautiful disaster piece, even though was that spoken directly to me, was things are.
Well, and maybe the assumption there was that you thought it was bad.
Yeah. Right.
You were assuming that your mom meant it in a bad way.
Which she was using the beautiful within the endearing part of it. And again, even if someone were using it in a bad way, that's the mirror to them. That's what they're seeing. This is something that they have going on in their own world. And when we allow ourselves to so taking this on in a positive way, right? So you're not taking things personally and not making assumptions. This is exactly what Megan was saying about in the assumptions piece of it, changing the narrative, because we all do this. Somebody walks in the room with a certain energy and we're they don't like me. They're pissed at me. Mm-hmm. What did I do wrong? Or somebody didn't text you and it's been 3 days. You're I must have. And then all of a sudden this whole thing's going on. And we don't just be impeccable with our word and say, hey, is something going on that I can support?
Yeah.
We don't use communication.
Yeah.
We write a story and then we just show up with behavior that's going to it's going to finish out that story. Whatever story you're trying to tell, you're probably going to make it come true. So if you want to tell the story that a friend's mad at you, you'll probably keep doing a lot of different things and not communicating until that friend does not want to be around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
that you can
be right.
So you can be right. So you can just say to yourself, well, I was right.
And that's so funny, Megs, because that's really what it comes down to is we all internally want to be right all of the time. Most of us aren't elevated in a way where we can be oh, what a cool, different perspective. And maybe that's, I can receive the parts that I want to, or maybe oh, you know what? I do want to rethink the way that I'm doing things. No, we want to be right. So if you want to be right about the fact that you are not able to make a lot of money, you will be right. You're going to continue to show up that way. And subconsciously or consciously, you're going to do things in your life to make sure that even when you do make money, you're going to lose it. And that's just, you're right. You're going to be right about it.
Yeah. So
yeah, there you go.
So decide what you want to be right about.
Yeah. And I think about a lot of different things. You want to be right about the fact that you don't have any friends. You're correct. You want to be right about that people don't like you. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because you continue to show up in ways that are going to create those situations.
Because every little thing that comes your way, either whatever, you're going to take it personally and assume that that's meant to hold you down, or assume that it's meant to be in some way against you, So yeah. Those are great.
I like to think about when we've discussed before how, my whole thing for the last 10 years is about finding perspective and gratitude in situations, even when things are hard. And when I started preaching that or talking about it so much, I was in a very I was moving up in my world. My businesses were going good. Things were thriving. We were doing well financially, physically fit. So it's of course she's going to keep doing like that. Of course, that's how her life's going. Of course she can be happy all the time. And then how those different humans when Witten got diagnosed with cancer, and they were like, man, I really have wanted to see, like, are you really going to still be happy? Or like, not preying on my downfall, but like, she's not going to be like that. And spitting black magic my way unintentionally. I don't think people were trying to hurt me, but the words they were using were not with kindness. And I had that wall up, right? Because my story was already told. Like I already know the story that I'm telling, and it's a story of positivity, and it's a story of choosing joy. And it's also a story of when people don't belong in my world anymore, that's okay, because that's the story that I'm writing for myself.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a good example.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's important about not making assumptions is one thing that I have felt is that people maybe assume that everything in my life is going great.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, yep.
You know, because I show up in a way that I am joyful, not always, but I try and show up like this all the time, because this is the way I want to show up.
It's the story you want to write.
It's the story that I'm writing. It's the way I want to show up for my friends, for my family, for the other people in my life. But guess what? It's not.
Y'all have been watching for the last 25 episodes. You know that it's a shit show in our lives.
Quite
right
a
now.
shit show. And honestly, probably one of the hardest emotionally stressing times in my life. But like, on such a huge scale is my joy and my pain right now. Like big they're so separated. Like usually like life kind of is like this, you know, but like right now it's like, pew! Like so much happiness. I have this great family. I have my husband that I love dearly. I finally have this son that I've prayed for decades. And I mean, pretty much all my life, you know, and he's wonderful and he's healthy and he's, just going through life in such a beautiful way. And I get to be his mom and I get to be with him constantly, like all this amazing, joyful, such gratitude things. Yeah. And then all of these other really hard, difficult, a lot of things we've shared about people that I'm the closest with in my life who have shaped my life, who have shaped me, passing and not having those people to have cast and grow with, or even me, like I'm finding myself, which I think a lot of people go through this. Grief is not a linear thing. Like I'm just, all of a sudden it will hit me. Like yesterday I'm vacuuming my bedroom and I just started crying because it hit me. Something hit me. I don't know. Yeah. I was just missing one of those people. And then on top of that, I'm having a really difficult situation trying to handle things for my father. And it's so hard. It's like one of the hardest things. And I'm like, feel like I'm on an island with that besides my aunt. Thank God for her, because I would be on an island. Yeah. Like, but so to have like the assumption, because I'm showing up, enjoying parts of my life, showing up with gratitude and happiness and joy in the moments that I can, doesn't mean that everything is 100% awesome, perfect. Everything is awesome.
Everything is cool.
We don't live in the Lego land.
No, we don't. But I think that's such a great acknowledgement for us to also just like hold on to, that when you're with someone, you don't know what's going on in their world, whether they choose to show up like a jackass, which a lot of people do. Like if I come across an angry barista, or, it's like, it's easy to think about in the service industry. I'm like, instead of being like taking it personally, I am going to make an assumption that they're having a bad day. Something's going on in the world. So I do make assumptions in I try to write the positive ones. Yeah. Where I could just be like, doesn't matter, but I don't know how to stop the narrative in my head. So instead I do like switch to the positive one. But to think about it on the other side, when you see someone who is joyful and they're having that positive energy, it doesn't mean that everything is easy for them. It doesn't mean that everything in their world is going perfectly. And you might still want to just give them a hug. I know they say like, how are things doing? We're doing great. Cool. I'm still going to give you a big hug in case there's anything in there that you just need. When I went into Lifetime this morning, the guy that was checking me in or whatever, he's like, hey, I've been wanting to ask you a question, or just like, I just heard that your son's in remission. And my daughter, she's going into her last treatment this week. So we just had this great 10-minute conversation as, cancer parents and like medical parents. And he's like, she's doing so good. And he's telling me all these positive things. And he's so light. And he's so like just exuding this love. And I know on the inside what's going on in his heart. But he is writing a story for himself. And that's one of, my daughter's strong. This is positive. She's moving through this. And, I just want to reach over the counter and be like, I love what you're saying. And also like, I know, So acknowledging people when you see them, and just, I guess, being able to be supportive of the fact that they are writing a story of joy and positivity. And then also with some people in your world, like just giving them a little bit more space, and even like a little like push, like, hey, let's talk about this for a second, which we've talked about before in the past. We do push each other to get into those emotional pieces of ourselves and be able to not be in the story that we don't want, but also to move through that.
Yeah. Which is so important, because not everything is great at all times, no matter what. So it's important to acknowledge that and acknowledge that for other people when they need some pull from that, because like, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Cause we need to sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think so for here, as you guys are walking away, like in parenthood, right? When you're, well, we didn't even talk about this in parenthood, actually. We talked about more for ourselves, which, you know what, you are the role model for your kids. And if you are writing stories, if you are bickering, did you see this one families, they probably have this, or like you can teach your kids that they are never going to have money. That's just not the way that our family is, by the way that you show up in your relationship with money. You can teach them that this is how relationships are. We are always going to be fighting, or it's always going to be stressful, because that's how you show up. And now they're going to, that's how my family is. They're going to make the assumption this is just how we are.
Mm-hmm. Or this is what a marriage looks like, or this is what friendship looks like, because you are modeling for them.
Mm-hmm. Teaching kids though, these principles, and I think there's some like different books for kids where you try to bring it down to their level, but any kid until they're 29, I don't know, like trying to teach them not to take things personally is a really big lesson when you're at school and all of a sudden, like, no, we can't wear pink because pink's dumb. Pink's for girls. Pink's whatever. Like, or I can't wear my bluey shirt because that's not cool, and trying to support them in the confidence that that's just the words and the situation that person's experiencing and you don't have to experience. That's a challenge as a parent. And it's something that you have to consistently support them with and open conversations about, so that your children aren't making assumptions and taking things personally.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to say to not always assume that your kids can handle something or are doing something or don't need to talk about something. Like, even if it comes out as, I don't want to wear this shirt anymore. Well, there's something in there. Yeah. Don't assume that that's just like, oh, okay, you don't like bluey. Yeah. Maybe don't just assume that it's done.
Yeah. What little story are they writing in their heads that you can support them with? And what story are they writing in their heads about you and the way that you show up to them, depending on your impeccability with your word too, Yeah. So that's a lot to handle as a parent, but that's what we're here for. We're here for practicing.
I mean, that's what life is.
Yeah.
It's all big practice.
It is.
You just get better the more you practice.
Yep. And so this is a perfect segue to the final one, which is to always do your best. And what I love about this, I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Always do your best. My coach always says that. My mom always says that. Always do your best. But when you look at your own life, remembering that your best is going to be different depending on the chapter that you're in. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you want to underwrite your story and be like, oh, I'm experiencing all this. I'm this death chapter right now. And so I'm just going to woe is me as my best. That's not what it means. But it means, you know what? So maybe you do cry a little more when you're vacuuming, and maybe you do rest on the couch a little bit more, or choose to watch a sobby story because you want to get out some of those tears. That's what your best is right in this moment. And just seeing that you are going to show up differently. Because I think a lot of times we compare ourselves to ourselves in our previous chapters. Like, why is my body look this way? I used to be fit. I used to be doing this. Well, right now you're going through X, Y, and Z, and it's a little bit different for you, and you are doing your best. Now, if you're not doing your best, then I see that I could probably do a little bit better. I don't have to show up as my 20-year-old self, but I could probably do a little bit better. It's really reading and receiving what your best is.
And I think that's huge to find that on the thermometer of where your life is at that moment, because your best is different at each moment. And it is okay to adjust as needed, like Caley's saying right now, like adjust your best as needed, but always keep striving to do something just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because every single day there is something that you can just do a little bit better. And sometimes it's just getting in the shower.
Yeah.
Like I just am going to take a shower today. And then I feel like every time I feel better, or I am going to allow myself to cry right now in this moment, or whatever is hitting me or whatever, and then move on and get in the shower. And that's the best I have at this moment. Or saying to your friend, I love you so much, but I'm having a hard day and I can't show up, or let me reach out to you when I'm ready. Because in the past, maybe you were that person that was like there all the time, getting things done, helping people out, showing up for everybody. And now you just need a break from that. And that's okay too. But I think like with all of this, it boils down again to just communication and being impeccable with your word and saying, I am incapable of this at this moment, but I am capable of this, and I can do this here, and then I'll do this the next day, and then I'll do this the next day, and just keep moving up that ladder, as much as you can, or sideways, or whatever you need to go.
Yeah, in movement. And I think one of the hardest things about this agreement is that we often don't know ourselves well enough. We don't allow ourselves to get quiet and introspective because we're scared. Like there's so much that's going on in that being of ours that sometimes we want to just stay active and busy so that we're not reflecting, we're not getting internal. And then it's like, I don't even know what my best freaking is. Like, I don't really know who I am. So it does take us taking some time to just think about what's going on. Like, have you ever defined the chapters of your life? Like, it's a fun activity. So if you wanted to do this, just to like take out a notebook or your notes and be like, let me just like look at the different chapters that if I was going to write my memoir, what would they look like? And then see how you showed up differently in each one of those chapters, and how did you do that with your 4 agreements? Were you following any of your agreements? Were you following all of them? Did you think you were showing up your best, but you could have done different? And that's a good way to kind of just like, just get to know yourself, find some reflection, discover what maybe your best has been and how you could alter that right now. Because once you get to know your you, that becomes much more easiest to really embrace.
That's
impeccable
my best English again.
I'm doing my best with those words. Don't make any assumptions over there. I'm not going to take it personally. I'll tell you that much.
And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful practice, Cal. I love that. I've never thought about doing that. I think it's a beautiful practice because there's so much you can move through and forgive and let go of by looking back at yourself as chapters or as certain parts of people that you have been throughout your life. Because that is so cool. I love that. And I know you talked about that a little bit before when we were in that yoga session.
Yeah.
And it's what a beautiful, beautiful practice and gift that you could just really give yourself, and how kind of fun to be like, it'd be fun to like name each chapter.
Yeah.
Like, well, this was party Megan and this. Yeah.
I think we would have some chapters.
Yeah, my book would be pretty long already.
Yep. It'd be a good book. I mean, who doesn't want to read that one? And the other thing that I wanted to share
my
too,
mom.
Yeah. Sorry about
Just
the
kidding,
podcast, Mom and Dad.
Love
We love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that it really also ties me to is when you're in a really positive space, in a positive chapter of your life, like right now, your marriage is going great. Like all the first side that Megs was talking about, like my marriage is going good. My health's going good. My finances are doing well. And you're excited about things. Don't ever dim your life, because sometimes people won't be their best or show up their best because they're making assumptions and they're taking things personally, that this person's going to be pissed because they don't have the house I have. This person's going to be upset because, they made a comment about how, oh, you guys can always go on those trips or whatever. And now you're taking those things personally when really they're just mirroring their own distaste for the story they're writing for themselves. And then you stop shining your light, and the world needs all of the light. So if you're in this really positive chapter, keep leveling up. Don't ever stop leveling up. Don't ever stop doing your best, because you're pouring more positive vibrations into the world by get a bigger house, buy another boat, get the nicest shoes, do all of the things.
Yeah. Or even there's other things that you can level up on, like those things are amazing. And of course, don't ever give up on that part of you, but also like maybe one part of your life when you're in this amazing epicenter of this awesomeness of what your life.
Everything is awesome. You are in Legoland.
Yeah. But there is something that can be better. Maybe it's your contribution to your church, or maybe it's your contribution to society, or maybe it's being a better listener or a better parent or a better something. There's going to be an area to better at all times. And by continuing to do your best doesn't mean that as a collective, like all of this, my best, but it's like, okay, I'm doing pretty good here. This is my best in this area. Now let me bring this area up. And then it's this area, it's like you can bring all of these things up, and maybe not all at the same time, but keep doing your best.
Yeah. That's our agreement number 4. Do your best. And I guess the reason why I connect to that part about people dimming their light is because I've just seen it firsthand so many times where people are really finding a lot of success and they feel guilty because they're successful and somebody else isn't. They're healthy and somebody else isn't. Their kid doesn't have cancer and somebody else doesn't. Everybody's dying around them and yours aren't. And then they're like, well, I can't be as light because this person's going through that. So I just it's like that great reminder.
So it's bouncing back. To another agreement.
Yes.
Don't take it personal.
Right.
Don't assume that they're unhappy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Don't assume that they're not doing their best.
Right. And never stop shining your light, because it's their choice. If they want to look at the things that you're doing and they want to feel sad, or they want to go into the Eeyore part, or they want to have some sort of jealousy in their heart for what's going on in your world, that's again a reflection on what's going on in their world. And you don't need to change how you're showing up to change how they're showing up. They have to look in the mirror and change how they're showing up. The only thing that's going to do is if you start, not doing your best or dimming your light, it's just going to bring less light and love into the world. So I think it's just a really good reminder for people who are hustling and bustling right now. Things are doing good. Mm-hmm. Keep it at home.
And I would say too, I would think that for every one person that is having a problem with that, there's probably 2 people who are like, that's cool, I want to do that. Or you're inspiring other people to now do better and do their best, or show up joyfully, or be grateful for what they are and what they have. And so and those people usually aren't as loud as the people who are upset. Yeah. So just know that at the end, if you're going to follow all your agreements, none of that will matter. None of those things will matter. But just know that there are people out there rooting for you, clapping for you, cheering for you, wanting to being inspired by the things that you were doing, and maybe just not saying. But there are those people.
Yeah. Well, and I think even you sharing your story, some people are probably like, wow, watch how Megan's moving through this death chapter with so much light and love and grace. I want to try to do more like that. So it's becoming an inspiration of them leveling up their best, because they just get to be a witness to how someone's showing up, which is cool.
And I think I know for me, sometimes it is nice to see someone else doing something as an example of how you would like to do it, because sometimes we don't always know how we want to do something or how to even do something. But when you see someone else, I've watched other people, and I've watched Cal, and I've watched other people just show up in a certain way, no matter what. And it's like, I'm going to put that in my pack.
I love that. And the opposite too of the same coin, like where you can look at people like, that's just, I don't want to show up like that. I see somebody not speaking with a bit impeccability to their kids or to their friends, or I see, whatever that is, and acknowledge, okay, that part, never putting in my pack. In fact, maybe there is a little scotch over there in the front pocket. Flick that out, because that's not how I want to wear it. And I think all of these, if you guys choose to start to step into your agreements, maybe you want to read the full book so you get Don Miguel Ruiz's like definitions over us.
Definitions.
But at least you have something to walk into the world with right now of a little bit better of a way to increase your happiness. It doesn't mean one thing's better than the other, but it's a better way for you to find more joy.
Yeah. Just another tool like we could all use, you know?
Our tool belt's getting full, isn't she? You just imagine when we're here for years, you guys are like, you guys, this belt is holding me down. I got so many tools in my pocket.
But throw it off. Go skinny dipping.
We'll do a full episode on that later. Oh, guys, thanks for being impeccable. I'm going through one of my fave books.
I know. That was so great, Kelly.
Yay.
Thanks for sharing that with us and just knowing about it and sharing it.
And we're all just diving into doing our best in these agreements. Here we are.
Yeah, and when you put it down in such a simple way, we really elaborated, but it doesn't sound that hard, to be honest.
No. Be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And now if you're sitting at that table and someone's like, are you following number 3? I saw you just write a story about that person. You're like, oh, you're right. I did make an assumption. Yep. You'll just know.
Take it back.
Yep.
Do-overs.
Redo. I'm going to do my best better right now.
Yep.
Here we
best
go.
better.
Always do your best better.
Mm-hmm.
Do your best better.
Yes.
That's the moral of the story. Thank you for doing your best better.
Thank you.
Megan, I love you.
I love your guts, Cal.
Love your guts. We love your guts out
love
there.
your guts.
Don't forget to subscribe and then just share this with some of your friends. If they're like, I never want to read that damn book. And here you go. Don't read it. Listen to these damn girls instead. These golden girls. Yep.
Thank you for being a friend.
Haven't sang yet. Traveling down the road and back again. We love you guys.
Hot as
love
true.
you guys.
You're a friend and a confidant. Bum, bum, bum. If I threw a party,
I'm cutting her off.
Thanks for joining, and don't forget to subscribe and, of course, share with your friends. Guys, that's how we impact more lives. All right, see you next time.
Puppies.
Yep, peace.
Everybody check
Making
this
eye
out.
contact with the man, the 75-year-old man
Hey, girl. Hey.
who's like doing it with me. But here's like, because everyone
His
faces the
shorts
middle
are
of the
see-through.
room.
I had a dream about ya.
And I was like, oh shit.
Do you like my Pilates?
And he's like, you like my balls?
So
Wow.
that's real.
Interesting.